speak into this one.
All right.
You got a partner with you?
No.
Okay, so this is pretty good. Good mic technique is about a hand width away. I recommend going through your script twice. Yeah, so you
All
can
right,
adjust
like
the
this?
microphone. It moves, so you don't have to feel like awkward or anything. You're a pretty chill guy. I would recommend that you stand, but that's totally your call. I just know it's easier to breathe when you stand. Make your body active.
Yeah.
But when you're done with this, you'll hit File, Save, and send it to yourself. Grab me when you're done.
All right.
All right?
Yeah.
Got it?
All right. Here we go. Almost all of us have a Netflix. almost Almost all of us have a Netflix account in our house. We all know Netflix as one of the biggest media sites today. But how did Netflix become what it is today? What was Netflix like when it first started? You're listening to WJS 91.5 The Eagle. Welcome to Media in the Making, a podcast where we look at the evolution of media from 1600 all the way to present day. In this podcast series, we've asked how different forms of media evolved and changed culture. Media in the Making, where media and culture are always changing. Now let's take a step back in time. Over half of the U.S. watched Netflix last year. That's 174 million people in the U.S. Did I mention that Netflix is also a global platform? It has 18 million subscribers in Brazil. We all know Netflix. We all know what Netflix is today, but where did it come from? Just in case you aren't aware, Netflix is a giant streaming service. They recently, too, have started to create their own titles. The idea came from Mark Randolph, who liked Amazon.com and wanted to mimic it in a way. At first, the idea was renting and selling VHS tapes, but they were too fragile for the shipping process. And then they heard about the DVD. They tested it by shipping it to their house. It arrived intact, so they started the business right there. So Netflix was created. It was an online DVD rental service. It was still a subscription service, even in 1999. In 1999, if you wanted to rent a DVD, you could go to Netflix, which was a website, and if you were subscribed, you could pick out the movies you wanted, and they would be mailed right to your door. In 2007, Netflix launched a streaming service portion of their website. This allowed people to stream movies through a website. You could go onto Netflix and simply pick out a movie that they wanted and watch it. This had a big impact on people and the internet. It allowed them to now watch movies on a computer and didn't require devices like a DVD player. They also started joining with DVD player and game console companies too. Netflix and similar other companies have affected cable TV as well. There's a CBS News poll that states 63% of Americans watch TV via a cable subscription service in 2016. Since then, the number has dropped to less than half the population in 2021, at 45%. In that same period, streaming jumped from 20% to 37%. A lot of the reason they have affected cable TV is through the Netflix originals. A Netflix original is content that is produced, co-produced, or distributed by Netflix exclusively on their services. According to Variety Insight, Netflix produced a total of 240 new original shows and movies in 2018, then climbed to 371 in 2019, a figure greater than the number of original series that the entire U.S. TV industry released in 2005. This became a major focus of Netflix, and by the end of 2021, it had offered more than 2,400 titles. Possibly the biggest event in Netflix history happened in 2016 at the Consumer Electronics Show. Netflix announced a major international expansion of its services into 130 additional countries. This expanded its reach tremendously. It had now become available worldwide except for in China, Syria, North Korea, and Crimea. They went from having a large impact on the US to now having an impact on the whole globe. Netflix has such a large effect on society. For example, how many times have you seen someone wearing a Stranger Things shirt? Or how many times have you heard people talking about the Squid Game show? You could go anywhere without seeing something or even hearing about it. Culture may have changed Netflix more than Netflix changed culture, though. Netflix has always been changing with the new media, whether it be the switch to the streaming service or the switch of focus to the Netflix originals. Media in the Making is brought to you by WJS 91.5 and the Eagle Tech Academy Mass Media Classes. Media in the Making, teaching you about the evolution of media throughout history and its effects on culture. For more from the students, this podcast series is on the 91.5 website, WJS91.org. Thank you for joining us.
So you want to hit the square button.